Are you a widow and wondering if the Grief Share program would work for you? If so, then you are probably wondering, does Grief Share even work for widows? I am Carmen Chloe. I am a recent widow. My husband passed away last December 2018, left me with two beautiful daughters, and I have been working through my journey of grief using videos as well as blogging. And on tonight's video, we're going to be talking about, does the Grief Share program work for widows? So Grief Share is it's either a 13 or a 14-week program, and you meet in person. It's typically at a church, and you don't have to be a Christian to attend the Grief Share program, but it is scriptural, meaning it's based on scripture. So it's a 13-week program. You meet at a church, so you meet in person. And I just started going last week to the Grief Share program, and it's at my mother's church. I was a bit hesitant to go, but I said, let me see if they even have it at my mom's church, because I had heard about Grief Share through some of the programs that I'm a part of. Well, through some of the groups that I'm a part of on Facebook. So I said, let me see if my mom's church has Grief Share, because it would be kind of familiar, even though I've only been to her church one time outside of last week, the Grief Share. So they actually had a Grief Share, and I went in last week for the first time, and they were on week 3, I believe, of a fresh new cycle. But it's a 13-week program, and it's structured. It's not like all over the place. It's structured. You have a workbook that you work through, and let me get the book so you can see. It's a workbook that you work through, and each week there's a different video, and it's different people who have actually experienced grief in their life. And then they also have the different doctors and therapists and counselors and stuff like that, and it's just people sharing their different perspectives on the grief. And then of course you have the experts who are just talking about grief and how you can work through your grief, and different things that you can do, different things that they recommend you doing and not doing. And I just want to give 3 reasons why I believe that the Grief Share program works and is beneficial. I got a lot out of it last week, considering that it was just my first week going, and I went back again tonight, and I'm going to continue going through the program so that I can finish. But I had kind of embarked on the journey of healing before I went to Grief Share last week, so maybe that's why my perspective and my mind was a bit open to it. But I just want to give you 3 reasons why I feel like Grief Share is definitely something that you should look into if you're a widow. And again, it's not specifically for widows, although for whatever reason in my group, the majority of us are widows. And then we have some people who have lost parents, and then there's a couple people in the group who haven't shared yet who they lost. And that's the thing about the program in the group, like you can go in, and if you're not ready to talk about your grief or who you lost or how it's affected you, you don't have to. So it's a completely safe space, no pressure or anything like that. But reason number one why I like Grief Share is because of the human interaction. When you're going through a period of grief, you can tend to isolate yourself, because most of the time the people who are around you, your friends and your family, they don't have a clue of what you're going through. They can't really understand. And when you're going through and you're having an emotional day or an emotional moment, or an emotional couple of days or weeks, a lot of times you tend to isolate yourself because people don't get it, and you don't want to be around people who don't get it. I know for me, when I'm going through my mood swings or my different emotions, and I'm kind of in a rut, like I don't want to be around people who don't get it, because sometimes they'll say things and they don't mean to. They don't know any better. So I like the whole aspect of the human interaction, being able to interact and connect with other people who are grieving, people who get it on a surface level, on a grief level. Again, nobody will understand exactly what you're feeling, because as they explain in the group, and common sense, if people would think each relationship was unique. And that just goes to, people love to say, oh, I know what you're going through. Like, no, you don't know what I'm going through. You have lost somebody before, but you don't know the unique relationship that I had with my late spouse who passed away. So I like the human interaction of being able to interact with other people who have experienced loss. Secondly, the workbook that I just showed you guys, and I'll show it to you again. Where's the workbook? This workbook, I like this workbook because it helps you to work through your emotions and it helps you to work through your grief in an introspective type way. It incorporates journaling. It incorporates you kind of like sitting and thinking about different things and being honest about your true feelings, your true emotions, your true thoughts. And your book is completely private. So you can like document your journey and then go back and look maybe a year from now and look at some of your answers, because they do recommend that you go through the program at least twice, because the first time, like, you may see something on a video and you connect with what they're saying on the video, so it'll kind of take you off on a tangent and like you start thinking about past memories and you may miss out on what they say after that. So the second time around is to kind of absorb and to get things that you may have missed the first time around. And then the third thing that I like about Grief Share is that it's therapeutic. It may not be a certified like therapy session with your therapist or your counselor, but it's therapeutic because you're talking through your grief, you're expressing your feelings, you're getting different perspectives, and it's helping you to shift your mindset so that you can be proactive and intentional about your journey of healing. So if you're a widow and you stumbled upon this video and you're considering joining your local Grief Share group and you want to know, does Grief Share work for widows? I'm going to go out on a limb and say yes, it does. Even though this is just my second time in Grief Share, it has definitely helped me a lot. And again, this book, I keep going back to this book because it has some really great resources in it. It has some coping mechanisms for when you may be having a day where you have a moment, you have an anxiety attack, you may be in the grocery store and you break down crying. There's different like coping mechanisms in the book, as well as different activities and people sharing their story. So if you're a widow, if you're stumbling upon this video, and if you have been wondering, should I join my local Grief Share group? Will it help me? Is it a waste of time? Should I do it? I'm going to go ahead and say that you should totally join your local Grief Share group. Again, this is Carmen Chloe. I also have my own safe space for widows. It's called Single Married Widow. You can learn more about my particular safe space for widows via singlemarriedwidow.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment below, and I would love to connect with you, especially if you're a widow with kids and you are trying to figure out this whole journey and figure out life all over again. So this is Carmen Chloe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.